Hello, everyone. This is the Man United Agenda, bringing you some breaking news from Carrington's training ground. I am joined today by OMONDI Juma. Hello, OMONDI. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm great, thank you. How are you, man? How are you, Rebel?
I'm good. We're getting into that festive season, and unfortunately, some worrying breaking news has come forward in the last number of minutes from David Ornstein. Manchester United group training has been disrupted by an outbreak of COVID-19. The squad was hit by a small number of positive tests in the lateral flow tests that were carried out this morning, which resulted in the cancelling of group training and restriction of training to individual non-contact outdoor sessions only. The individuals who tested positive for the virus were sent home before training commenced. It is understood that the whole group who travelled to Norwich have tested negative before the game. The Premier League have been made aware of the situation. So I suppose the worry there being that a number of them may have been positive at the time of the Norwich game. As it stands, it's unclear whether Tuesday's Premier League game against Brentford will go ahead. The emergence of this highly transmissible or Omicron variant has caused cases to rise in the UK, and we have now seen significant outbreaks at other clubs. It was previously reported on Wednesday that 8 members of Tottenham's squad had contracted the virus and 5 of the training staff. So the question is, how many Manchester United players have been affected by this situation? It looks like if it's anywhere around the 8 mark, that means that the game on Tuesday is in doubt. The Premier League continues to follow the COVID guidance as dictated by the government. There is no elite sporting exemption at this time.
Interesting. We're on a roll, aren't we? We after 2 wins in a row in the Premiership, and this will really sort of stifle all that sort of momentum we've got at the moment. Hopefully, the game goes ahead, but like I say, this is just breaking news at the moment, isn't it? It's all up in the air. But I wanted it's a good observation just to check, measure it up with what's happened at Spurs, because obviously they've had games cancelled and postponed based on 8 players, and I imagine this is first team players, maybe.
I would assume it's 8, yeah, first team.
Yeah, so I'm just curious. I don't know if you know, Rebel. So if someone's been given a positive test, how long would they have to be out for? Because we had Greenwood recently, and he seemed to be out for like a fortnight before he was back in action or up for selection again. So yeah, and they're coming up to Christmas with all the big fixtures and thing. What we don't want is to be sort of postponing loads of games and having a backlog going into next season, where we, like last season, for example, we played 2 games in space of 3 days, and that really hit us hard. So yeah, really, it's not very good news for our team, for Manchester United, especially with the way we're playing at the moment.
Absolutely. And I suppose in the overall picture and the overall scheme of things, it's unclear whether Spurs are able to go ahead with their fixture midweek. We also have rumours that Aston Villa now are in a situation where they may have an outbreak. So you would be looking at it in holistically. If so many teams are going to be put out of commission, then what does that mean for the fixtures in general? Because they are quite compact, as you rightly said in your previous statement there, that there's 4 fixtures between now and Stevens' Day?
So which day? Sorry, which day would you call that in Ireland?
St. Stevens' Day.
When's that? I've never heard of that day. When is that day?
That would be the 26th of December.
We call that Boxing Day, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
But I suppose
obviously there's a major fixture list, isn't there? And this is where you always wait until after the Christmas fixture list and see where people are standing after that, because form teams can usually get injuries and bombarded with fixtures and lose, win on Saturday and lose on the Monday or the Tuesday. It's really difficult. So I'm a bit gutted that our big squads could be reduced majorly for these round of games coming up.
Absolutely. And as they said, if these obviously there's the situation I think in the UK where your Prime Minister is making further announcements on Tuesday. And I'd imagine if there's a number of Premier League clubs now that are going to be reporting situations like this, it could lead them to tackle the issue from a administrative standpoint. While this is a very serious situation for Manchester United, I do want to touch on another situation that occurred in the game yesterday. This is also from The Athletic. Lindelof has been described as okay after breathing problems during the Manchester United win over Norwich. He was replaced in the 70th minute by Eric Bailly. And according to Ralph Rangnick, it said, yeah, can't seem to remember himself how it happened. I think he had a collision with another player and had problems to breathe for more than 10 minutes. His heart rate spiked, higher than normal, and therefore he was a little bit shocked and didn't know how to deal with it. After the game, he was checked by the doctors, and it seems everything is okay. And David De Gea said, of course, having seen the situation with Christian Eriksen and Sergio, it is very difficult to see a player in this sort of a distressed situation. So everyone here in the Man United agenda does wish Victor Lindelof well, and we hope everything is okay with him.
You know, what's really interesting about that, I think even with the commentary yesterday, when they saw that it might have been breathing problems, they couldn't see an incident where there was a tackle or some foul where he'd been injured. So they were even saying, don't take that risk, take him off. And without saying, highlighting the thousands of athletes around the world that are having issues at the moment, and it just seems to be put off like a coincidence, but it's something that needs further investigation here. How come so many athletes all of a sudden in a short space of time last year or so are having sort of breathing problems, difficulty, dropping dead, that kind of thing? And we don't want to see that on a major scale like we did with Eriksen. That wasn't really nice at all, and the poor guy's career's basically over, same as Sergio Aguero. But these are two of the high-profile guys, and Lindelof the other day as well. You don't take that risk, but there's been loads. If you do a little digging, you'll realise there's hundreds of players, not just in football, but all athletes around the world and in lower grade sports as well. They've been having issues, dropping dead, having respiratory issues as well. So, but people are not making a connection to things, so it's really, I think it deserves more investigation and needs to be spoken about more, because if that is an issue, because they're obviously we're told something by the government, and it's very difficult, so no one really knows just yet. No one really knows, so we have to really sort of really think about what's going on here, and for the safety of the players, maybe just start to assess.
And Monday, I suppose, just in regard to this, I suppose it's not for us to be speculating as to the origins of what's happened here. Obviously, we hope that the required screening is being done on a regular basis on these players, because they are elite sports personnel, regardless of whether they're a Manchester United player or runner or whatever. But they do put their bodies through a lot in order to reach peak condition, and we do hope that the right screening is in place. But I suppose to return to today's main story, Dime Hell is saying, if a player or member of coaching staff tests positive for the Omicron variant and other staff or players are identified as close contacts, they all have to stay at home and self-isolate for 10 days. So it would be very, very easy to take out a large body of a squad in those circumstances.
Yeah, totally. I think the most important thing is the safety of the players. You can't take any risks anymore. So yeah, if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. But then, like I say, it's just down to the fixtures now. I mean, it's going to flip it all on its head again, just like it was last season. And no one really wants that, for the sake of football and the fans. And what about the fans traveling, away fans as well? You have to feel sorry for them. Do they have to make a decision, wait for the Prime Minister to make a decision on Tuesday before they travel? Hopefully stuff can be sorted out soon before anyone makes any journeys down to London from up north.
Absolutely. Well, the article does say the Premier League are advised of the situation. I would imagine a full logistical analysis of what's going on in the Manchester United training ground will take place. They will identify the quantum of players and staff that are affected, and I suppose then have to decide if it's tenable to continue with the fixture given the decimation that may be taken to the squad if there's a large volume of isolations.
Yeah.
And
I mean, like I say, it's all speculation at the moment. All we can do is speculate. Like I say, the main thing is just get the players safe and well. And if they just do what the government guidelines expects them to do, just do that, so we can just continue with our football and get people rested and quarantined or whatever they have to do, lock themselves away, just for the safety of the club. Because obviously, like, there's so many people involved with football. Like with the Spurs situation, they were talking about the staff as well. You said there was like first team staff as well. Struggling with it as well, so that makes it difficult. What are you going to do? Podcasting training sessions or something? It's really difficult out there now, and it's really worrying times.
Absolutely. Yeah. I suppose all we can do is keep an eye on this space and see where things lead. Do you want to have one quick look at the comments, Monday, to see if there's any interactions with our viewers?
Yeah. So. Talking you saying you can see football being halted again, which is really unfortunate. Mehdi, how you doing? He said if one player or member of coaching staff tests positive for this new variant and other staff or players identified as close contacts, they will have to stay at home as well and isolate for 10 days. That was 10 days. Okay, like we saw with Greenwood, is that correct? So if anyone was in the squad last 2 games tested positive, we have to postpone, it seems. Okay, so that's good information there. Mehdi again said, I don't know. Some experts say we're at the finishing line now with COVID. This Omicron proves the virus gets weaker and that soon we should be able to get back to our normal lives. Steve Fletcher says we've seen it with Spurs this week that they're postponed if they need to. That's with the Brighton game, isn't it? And a few of our lads looked leggy in the last game. Wouldn't surprise me if a few of them do have COVID. Okay. And Silver Fox says, madness, what's going to happen with all these games coming up thick and fast? Pile up will be insane. Yeah, so everyone's on the same page there, Rebel.
Absolutely, yeah. I suppose, as they said, the situation as it stands, just to sum up, we still are unknown whether Spurs will be able to play their next fixture. Manchester United's game on Tuesday is now in doubt. There's also questions over a believed outbreak at Aston Villa. As to what the details of that are, I do not know at this time. But what you're looking at is possibly 6 teams of the 20 being affected by being unable to fulfill their fixture due to having their game cancelled. And if we are looking at that 3-4 game situation in the next 2 weeks, that's a large volume of fixtures to try and make ground on. So the Premier League could be forced into making a decision as to maybe an impromptu winter break, but of course that is a speculation on our part.
Rebel, can I just ask you, so do you think like there must be a ruling in place? I mean, we've got to go over the rules, but I don't think there's anything in place. So would they expect us to play, say, reserves or under 23s if they're fit? I mean, we saw with Spurs, but I don't know if that's a ruling. They had 8 players out and they postponed it based on that. But if you've got a big squad like Manchester United, would they say no? You have to use. I mean, or do you think that would be right for them to do that?
Well, I suppose
we did it against. We played almost a speed team, didn't we, against Leicester? We had Leicester and Liverpool after the protest, and we played a B team, I think, against Leicester, which was basically youngsters.
Absolutely. I suppose when you look at the situation, they have kind of set a precedent of sort with the Tottenham situation. Now, the other thing to bear in mind as well is that first team training, that they are working together and they would be in close contact and proximity to each other. So you would have to imagine that if there's a situation where 7, 8, 9 players are affected, there could be a multiple of that then that have to isolate as a result of being close contact. But I'm unclear as to what the rules are with the United Kingdom in terms of COVID and what you have to do over there. But over here, it would be a case that there would have to be an isolation period for any players in proximity that would have been deemed close contacts to the positive players. But as they say, I suppose what the question for the Premier League would be, if a number of teams succumb to outbreaks, will it be tenable to continue with the fixture list at all? And that will be the key debate, I'd imagine, in the major sports news outlets for the next number of hours, given that we do have that situation at Spurs, an emerging situation at Manchester United, and a possible situation with Aston Villa, as yet no great details there on that one.
Yeah, difficult times. I think just as we're learning, we need the training right now, don't we, to learn a new philosophy from Ralph, and that's going to be sort of stalled as well. So, yeah, really, really disappointing news when you put it like that, man.
Absolutely. I will recap on the article another time, just because I do see that we have a number of people joining us here late. So it has been reported in the last hour that Manchester United group training was disrupted today by a COVID-19 outbreak. Scheduled training could not go ahead as planned after a number of staff and players tested positive in the lateral flow tests that were conducted this morning. This limited training to an individual non-contact outdoor session, and the players and staff that were affected were sent home prior to the session commencing. It is understood that the whole group who travelled to the Norwich game had tested negative before that game commenced. The Premier League have been made aware of the situation. As it stands, it is unclear whether their Premier League games against Brentford will go ahead. The emergence of this highly transmissible Omicron variant has caused cases to rise in the UK and has significant outbreaks at other clubs. On Wednesday, it was revealed that 8 Tottenham players and 5 members of Antonio Conte's staff had returned positive tests, which resulted in the postponement of games. I suppose the reason why we mentioned this Tottenham outbreak is because it does kind of seem to set a barometer for what could be ahead for Manchester United, dependent on the number of affected personnel. We also have seen other clubs with issues at this time, so it will remain a question over the next number of hours whether obviously Spurs can actually get their game up and running during midweek, whether Manchester United will be able to get their game up and running on Tuesday, and what the emerging details will be of this alleged Aston Villa outbreak. And I just want to come to one last comment before we do wrap up. Mr. Silver Fox, as an Arsenal fan, feels aggrieved that they were forced to play Brentford despite their outbreak at the start of the season, while Spurs and possibly our game could be postponed. And I do share his sentiment in that regard. You would like and feel that it would have been necessary for a consistent approach. Yeah. And then just one other late comment there that's after coming in. Mid-Jaimel is saying Tottenham got a big outbreak right after their game against Norwich. We had a big outbreak right after our game against Norwich. He's maybe linking a issue there, I suppose, but it wouldn't be for us to speculate as to whether or not that caused the issue. But on Monday, I suppose that is the breaking news. And as I said earlier, we at the Man United Agenda do hope that Victor Lindelof's issues are pretty much not serious and that he will be back and playing with us this season. But for now, I've been Rebel. He's been the Quizmaster on Monday. And if you do fancy getting in that hot seat with a Monday on the quiz show, make sure to reach out to us in the comments and we will get you there and we will sit you down and we will put you to the test. Amanda, you want to come in on that?
Yeah, just to add, guys, don't forget here tonight at 6 o'clock, I'm doing a one-to-one sit down with Brentford fan and journalist Jacob. He was with us at the start of the season, and we're just going to review Brentford, their rise, and we're going to discuss the pending game as well against Manchester United. And well, this might change everything, but tune in at 6 o'clock. We'll be talking about all issues.
Absolutely. Should be a good one. We will be listening intently as to the ongoings there. But thank you very much for everyone for listening. We have been the United Agenda, and we are going to check out now.